Making $1 million legally has always been difficult. Making $1 million illegally has always been a little easier. Keeping $1 million when you have made it is perhaps the most difficult of all. Harvey Metcalfe was one of those rare men who had managed all three. Even if the $1 million he had made legally came after the $1 million he had made illegally, Metcalfe was still a yard ahead of the others. He had managed to keep it all. Harvey Metcalfe was born on the Lower East Side of New York on May 17, 1909, in a small room that already slept 4 children. He grew up through the Depression, believing in God and 1 meal a day. His parents were from Warsaw and had emigrated from Poland at the turn of the century. Henrik's father was a baker by trade and had soon found a job in New York, where immigrant Poles specialized in baking black rye bread and running small restaurants for their countrymen. Both parents would have liked Henrik to be an academic success, but he was never destined to become an outstanding pupil at his high school. His natural gifts lay elsewhere. A cunning, smart little boy, he was far more interested in the control of the underground school market in cigarettes and liquor than in stirring tales of the American Revolution and the Liberty Bell. Little Henrik never believed for one moment that the best things in life were free, and the pursuit of money and power came as naturally to him as the pursuit of a mouse to a cat. When Henrik was a pimply and flourishing 14-year-old, his father died of what we now know to be cancer. His mother outlived her husband by no more than a few months, leaving the 5 children to fend for themselves. Henrik, like the other 4, should have gone into the district orphanage for destitute children, but in the mid-1920s it was not hard for a boy to disappear in New York, though it was harder to survive. Henrik became a master of survival, a schooling which was to prove very useful to him in later life. He knocked around the Lower East Side with his belt tightened and his eyes open, shining shoes here, washing dishes there, always looking for an entrance to the maze at the heart of which lay wealth and prestige. His first chance came when his roommate, Jan Pelnik, a messenger boy on the New York Stock Exchange, put himself temporarily out of action with a sausage garnished with salmonella. Henrik, deputed to report his friend's mishap to the chief messenger, upgraded food poisoning to tuberculosis and talked himself into the ensuing vacancy. He then changed his room, donned a new uniform, lost a friend, and gained a job. Most of the messages Henrik delivered during the early 20s read, "Buy." Many of them were quickly acted upon, for this was a boom era. He watched men of little ability make fortunes, while he remained nothing more than an observer. His instincts directed him toward those individuals who made more money in a week on the stock exchange than he could hope to make in a lifetime on his salary. He set about learning how to master the way the stock exchange operated. He listened to private conversations, opened sealed messages, and found out which closed company reports to study. By the age of 18, he had 4 years' experience of Wall Street. 4 years which most messenger boys would have spent simply walking across crowded floors, delivering little pink pieces of paper. 4 years which, to Henrik Metcalfe, were the equivalent of a master's degree from the Harvard Business School. He was not to know that one day he would lecture to that august body. One morning in July 1927, he was delivering a message from Hallgarten and Company, a well-established brokerage house, making his usual detour via the washroom. He had perfected a system whereby he could lock himself into a cubicle, study the message he was carrying, decide whether the information was of any value to him, and if it was, immediately telephone Witold Gronowicz, an old Pole who managed a small insurance firm for his fellow countrymen. Henrik reckoned to pick up an extra $20 to $25 a week for the inside knowledge he supplied. Gronowicz, in no position to place large sums on the market, never let any of the leaks lead back to his young informant. Sitting on the lavatory seat, Henrik began to realize that this time he was reading a message of considerable importance. The governor of Texas was about to grant the Standard Oil Company permission to complete a pipeline from Chicago to Mexico, all other public bodies involved having already agreed to the proposal. The market was aware that the company had been trying to obtain this final permission for nearly a year, but the general view was that the governor would turn it down. The message was to be passed direct.